Oh, sports card video on a comic book channel. Boring. Hey, person who hypothetically thinks that this video is boring, even though you already clicked into it, we need to talk about this. This is important news that you have to hear about because this might have a big rippling effect into the comic book market. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle Hoss. And in this one, we need to talk about Olympic basketball cards. Topps one-of-one autos. Ken Goldin and Goldin auctions, searches, cash advances, bounties, hunts, big auction house business that could have an effect on the collectible world and specifically that of comic books in the near future. So in this video, we're going to talk about this news, talk about what is going on here with Goldin Auctions offering $150,000 for this card, and ask ourselves the question, do we see this trickling over into comic books, whether they be vintage or that of modern? And will aggressive plays like this from Ken Goldin start to cause a little bit of an auction wars for the high-end comic collectibles? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about it. But of course, before I get into it, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, I would appreciate it. Helps support the channel doing those things. But let us get into this video here today. Now, to properly set up our conversation today, we have to talk about this article from Collect. There you guys see from the headline, after U.S. men win hoops gold, Topps to offer one-of-one auto card from LeBron, Curry, and Kevin Durant. Buyers of Topps Now base card are entered to win auto card from 3 stars. So there you see the big prize card that we're talking about here, but let me continue on with the article. Following Team USA's gold medal victory over France in men's basketball Saturday, Topps is offering a promotion for a one-of-one card. The triple autograph card will feature signatures from LeBron, Steph, and Kevin Durant. Per Topps social media post, anyone who purchases a base card from Team USA's gold medal game will earn the chance to receive this triple auto card. The base cards are not yet available on the Topps Now site, but the triple auto card is unique for a few reasons. It is the first time James, Curry will have their autographs featured on the same card, and it also marks the first time all 3 players will appear on the same card. Most importantly, though, it is the first James Topps auto card. The card was released in January as part of the 2023-24 Bauman University Chrome basketball set. So while this is not James' first auto under the Fanatics collectible umbrella, it is the first specifically on a Topps trading card. Now, obviously, when Topps made this announcement, people were very, very excited about this card. And this is one of those ones that, yeah, it's a little bit special. Obviously, it's coming off of the Olympic gold medal. They were kind of the Avengers Dream Team number 2 or number 3, whatever you want to call them here, that came together to win gold. And this actually caused a few players in the sports card world to request bounties on this card, meaning that if you're somebody out there who ends up, getting this card or pulling it or however Topps ends up delivering this stuff, there were dealers out there that were willing to pay you a high premium. But all those offers and bounties that were being discussed were blown away when Ken Goldin of Goldin Auctions, who you guys know is the founder and CEO of the auction house and the star of the Netflix King of Collectables show, he actually put it out there that he is willing to pay upwards of $150,000 of a cash advance to get his hands on this card. This is a video that he did a live stream, kind of breaking it all down. I'm not necessarily going to play the video for you guys, but I will put a link in the description and you guys can get the full rundown. But some of the interesting things that he said is that, this is really a marketing ploy more than anything. I mean, he doesn't necessarily know what the card is going to, go for on the secondary market. I mean, maybe it's a, $700,000 card, maybe it's a $100,000 card, but either way, he's willing to pay you a cash advance, and then whatever the card ends up selling for later on, he'll give you the rest of the money with, of course, the auction house taking their own percentage. But it was very, very interesting because, a few of the key points that he mentioned in this video was that, because eBay has now acquired Goldin Auctions, he said that basically he's doing this because he can. He's got that eBay money now. He's got the ability to overpay for items that bring eyeballs and attraction to his auction house. And then later on in the video, he even mentioned that, he's willing to sort of do this in the future for other special, collectible items that, range from graded video games to, graded Pokemon cards, or of course, what we're all interested in, which is that of comic books. And that sort of got me thinking, is there comic books on the market that actually could command that sort of moment in time must-have item for this particular coming up auction house? Because, with the LeBron, Curry, Olympic basketball card, that sort of makes sense. I mean, we're coming off of the Olympics, that was a moment in time, and it's sort of like a special one-in-one creation. Similarly, if you guys remember, Magic the Gathering created their Lord of the Rings, the One True Ring card that was graded a PSA 9. They basically did a combination set of Lord of the Rings and created only a one-of-one card that ended up being purchased by Post Malone for $2 million. So, whoever was able to pull that card definitely won the lottery in their own right. And again, I bring it back to comic books here and sort of wonder, are there items in the comic book space that could generate that same sort of hype or that same sort of desirability? And, I started thinking about some of the Avengers books and some of the, big Silver Age keys that have the superheroes on them, and how there's a little bit of a disconnect in that space because, on the one hand, you have somebody like Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man, but he didn't necessarily create the comic book. So having his signature on, say, a Tales of Suspense 39 or an Avengers #1 was something that I think is very polarizing in the comic book world. Not a lot of people want actor signatures on comic books. They would rather have, say, Stan Lee or Jack Kirby signing their Avengers 1 than, of course, the cast of the Avengers. I mean, certainly they cost a bit of a premium, although you're selling to a more specific collector at that point. But it did sort of make me wonder, is there a way that Marvel and DC could create, new modern comic books that are sort of special moment one in times or one of ones or, whatever the case may be? I mean, what if Marvel decided to create a new Doctor Doom series that was celebrating the fact that Robert Downey Jr. was going to be playing Doctor Doom, and they created this one of one, Doom Beyonder comic book? That was all in polybags, so you had to rip them open and there could only be one of one. And then that would create sort of the excitement and the pack pulling, idea that exists in the card space. And then you might have somebody like a Goldin Auctions wanting to get their hands on that book, or competition amongst dealers that want to acquire that item that would drive a lot of excitement and hype. Now, of course, it is a little bit different in comic books. There's always been a friction between, one-of-one variant covers and that sort of thing, because inside the comic book is supposed to be this story that people actually want to read. Whereas in the card world, the card itself is just sort of collectible. Although you could make an argument that Pokemon cards and Magic the Gathering cards are supposed to be played and not necessarily collected, but there's also a lot of friction in that space. It seems like a missed opportunity by Marvel Publishing to do something like that, although you could sort of see it happening in the future, because the one thing that is sort of interesting about the sports card world is that usually they are a few steps ahead of that of comic books. Whatever sort of happens in sports cards eventually makes its way over to comic books. Now, I did want to show this one comic book that I actually did see at San Diego Comic-Con that I thought was interesting to share with you guys. It's a Star Wars #1 35-cent price variant, which, the 35-cent price variant, which you guys can see in the upper left corner, is already pretty rare to find. That already costs a bit of a premium out there on the secondary market. But this particular copy, which was being consigned by Shortbox, actually was signed by Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill as well. So kind of a unique item that sort of feels like this is kind of in line to, the auto that we see with LeBron and Steph Curry. And you guys can actually see the price tag on this thing is $400K. So a pretty unique specialty item. This is the highest grade on the market, and it also has these signatures. So there are some of these interesting books that you could see auction houses wanting to get their hands on. I mean, there's the Spawn Malibu Sun book. If that one was signed and sketched by Todd McFarlane and it was a one of one, and maybe that's a book that, people are interested in getting when the Spawn movie eventually comes out, if it ever eventually comes out. Very, very interesting stuff. Now, the last little part before I wrap up the video was to talk about this. You guys remember in 2021 when all of these tech companies were coming into the collectible world and sort of doing these, fractional sharing of comic books where they would buy, a big book like A Journey into Mystery 83 at a CGC 9.4, and then you could download the app and buy a portion of this. And I think a lot of the comic book collectors kind of felt like it was pretty cringe. In fact, full transparency, I was actually offered a few different sponsorships for my channel to, promote some of these fractional sharing apps and stuff like that. I personally didn't really like them, so I didn't feel comfortable promoting this stuff. But the reason I bring it up is because a lot of the record sales that we saw for big Silver Age keys came from these companies coming into the space. A lot of these sort of new angel invested tech companies were purchasing some of these big books, and that caused a lot of hype and craziness during the COVID time, which probably, ended up trickling down to a lot of other items. So you had these companies coming into the space, and it was a bit of an arms race. They had to acquire these items to offer them. And it kind of brings me back to, what Goldin Auctions is doing here with this particular card. And again, with the backing of eBay and the fact that he has the Netflix show and has to acquire acquire sort of these big items, has to get these consignments in order to drive eyeballs and attention to his, auction house. It does sort of make you wonder, I mean, are we going to see a return to crazy numbers on the high end of comic books? And will we actually see a bit of an auction house wars between all of these companies vying to get their hands on your collectibles? Anyways, that's all for this video. That was me doing a little bit of a report on this news. I mean, I kind of thought it was really, really interesting. This $150,000 bounty or cash advance or whatever you would call it. I mean, it does make a lot of sense. I mean, I understand completely why Ken Goldin would want to do something like this, especially if, $150,000 is nothing relative to, the money that they have to spend and the eyeballs and the awareness that they can drive to their business if they get items like this in stock. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that this could ever filter its way into comic books? Are there comic books out there that have the same sort of moment in time appeal or one-of-one factor that the Olympic card does? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next video.